Thank you. There's a lot of discussion about the economy. I see one area where I feel that there's a big drain and it costs the government a lot, both the state government and also the federal government, and that is illegal immigration and the drain that they have on the systems and the healthcare facilities all around here. I guess I just wanted to get some feedback from you candidates. What are your thoughts on that, and what strategies can be done to help contain those costs or get a better handle on it? Thank you.
I'll go first. I live in Pasco. Pasco is 60% Latino. Let's assume a portion of those folks are not necessarily legal aliens. I know some, actually. They've since gotten their green cards. There should be a clear line, and it needs to be really done at a federal level. Having locals decide immigration policy isn't going to work. State isn't going to work either. It really does need to be decided at that level. But there needs to be a clear line that says, you're in the country legally or you're not. There needs to be a clear line. The problem that then comes up is an example, and this touched on my heartstrings because I remember a Burbank graduate that parents brought them here, and the parents were illegals, and of course the kid was illegal. 4.0 student, but then because they were not on the right side of the line, couldn't get into college and all that sort of stuff. And I don't confuse me with being liberal, but when that kid takes his life, because his life was over, that tells me though that we're not doing a good job at making the process accessible to folks that we should be encouraging to come to this country. We should absolutely want the foreign 4.0s that want to move here, not just work here and then go back and retire in their country. But the folks that want to move here and become U.S. citizens, we need to have a path that's clearly able to go through that. And you'll hear horror stories about how people can get insurance and driver's licenses and all of that. That's nibbling around the edges. The real issue is that we need a clear line of where you're illegal or not, and a path to become legal. And there's a lot of people in the front of that line that have done that process, attempted to do it correctly, but the folks that haven't done it should be the ones at the back of the line and then go through that process.
Well, that's a complex issue. We could spend all night here, and I know everybody wants to go home, but I'll try to answer it very briefly. Number one, we need to really strengthen our borders. We need to have a line there, first of all. Then we've got to deal with the people who are in the United States illegally. There's something like 12 million people here illegally. What do we do? Let's be practical about it. It is a federal problem more than a state problem. That's why I don't want to take too much time on it. But we do have to address that issue. And there's various ways of doing it through a system. They've got to come forward. You're not going to ever find them if you're going to hunt them down. I think that's a real issue. But able to give them a chance to work their way into the system. They probably have to pay a penalty or a fine or something in order to earn their way to where they ought to be, or they need to be deported. And so that's part of the line that I would also attempt to draw, that we need to really fine-tune and make very specific what our laws and our goals are. Thank you.
And I'll just add real quickly, I mean, part of the problem, too, is in getting these people to become legal citizens is the bureaucracy it takes in order for them to do it. I mean, I don't want to get on like Kevin's, but the government, we have a problem in that everything we do, I don't care if it's illegal immigration or whether it's people trying to apply for Medicaid or Medicare, it's so onerous that people just give up. And we've got to make it, Sheriff Humphreys could probably tell you, we've taken them back on the bus across the border and they beat the patrolman back. I don't know how they do that, but they do. And so, you can't have a revolving door. We got to figure that out. We were talking to Kathy McMorris today, and that's an issue of what do we do with the ones that are here. But the ones that aren't here, that want to come over and become legalized citizens and abide by our laws in the United States, we need to make it not so onerous so that they can do it. Because if it takes 6 months to get your fingerprints checked before you can even start the process, they're behind the 8 ball. But I'll tell you, the other number I heard today from Kathy is we need 100,000 people just to harvest apples in the state of Washington. And I'm here to tell you, folks, with our labor laws in the state of Washington, you can't send the kids out to do it. I mean, I thank God that I was able to top onions and bunch radishes and pack lettuce, because I knew right away that wasn't the career for Greg. I wasn't doing that forever. My grandpa was about that tall. He was low to the ground. It was easy for him. Well, not that I'm that tall. But anyway. But so anyway, I mean, I think a lot of this that's causing the problem is our bureaucracy. And if we, the other thing is social programs never were intended to be economic stimulus programs, and that's the problem. We got people justifying their jobs, so they make it hard for people to get in, and then just creates those levels. And so that's my take on it.
Greg hit the nail on the head when he said labor laws. I remember working with harvest crews. I remember driving tractor, combine, running hay crews as young as 12 years old. Who can I hire my kids out to? I know they'll work harder for you than they do for me, and teach them hard work. I also heard that illegal aliens are heading back south faster than they came north because of our economy. Right now is the best time to put up a good wall, a good fence, and a good defense from anybody coming back into the country. What we need to do is guard our borders. That's part of what the federal government's supposed to do. They're supposed to protect us. They're supposed to secure our borders. They're supposed to do for people what people cannot do for themselves. This is one of those things. We need to get the federal government back to doing the business of the federal government, and that's a good start.